Hello，冯大哥。
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, teacher.
How are you all?
Hello.
Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right, very good. That's very good. So I see quite a number of people here, around 23 of you. And I believe there are more students who should be joining this class. Okay, so we have we have divided you into two groups. So this group consists of all new students, and the previous lecturer who was teaching will be teaching the senior students. All right? Yeah, thank you. Welcome every one of you to this class. And my name is Associate Professor Dr. Syriac. I'm also the Dean of the faculty. All right, so it's a great pleasure meeting each and every one of you today. And a few minutes of your time today, I'll be talking about what's expectation, how do we run the class, what do you need to do. These things will be shared with you. Okay. All of you have access to your LMS, I believe, your learning management system. Do you have?
Yes.
Yes, we have it.
Okay, great. So
Yes, yes.
are there any students whose enrollment ID starts with anything other than 2108? So if your ID starts with 2108, you are in the right class. If not, you should be joining Mr. Fakir's class. That is, the International Business Group 1. So I believe all of you are in the right class, right? Correct? You can say yes
Yes,
or
I'm
no.
in the
Yeah,
right
talk
class.
to me, huh? Talk to me, okay? I like people talking to me. So
Yes,
feel
we
yes.
join the group too.
Pardon?
We're now in the group 2.
Okay, good. So you are in the right group. All right. So I'm going to take you to the LMS. I'll be sharing with you what's your expectation from the LMS. LMS stands for Learning Management System. Okay, and you should be logging into your LMS to take attendance. So everyone should take attendance using your learning management system. So you can see the barcode or you can key in your attendance once you log in. Have you done that?
No.
All right. There is no other mechanism to take your attendance. So the only way for you to log in your attendance is to access LMS, record your attendance there. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Good. So let's look at the course. Right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So what you see is your course shell, International Business Group 2. So there you will find my photo, then my message, my
Handsome
email.
professor.
Pardon?
You're handsome.
Oh, thank you. I expected some girls to say that, but none of the ladies responded. I'm very
Yes,
sorry.
you are handsome.
Ah, thank you so much. I love that. Okay, so you have the email there. So anything you can communicate with me using your email or in your WhatsApp group. You're most welcome anytime. Then your attendance is already here. It's created, so you can click on and take the attendance. You'll find an ebook for your reading. Please open this or download the ebook and start reading it. It's good. You'll find your course syllabus here. The syllabus is stated here. You can go through the syllabus. You'll find your timetable here. So whatever you need, you will find here. All right. And you will find week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until week 11. All materials are here. Okay. And if you scroll down, you will find your assignment brief. I'll be discussing with you the assignment brief also today. And then your group assignment submission link, the deadline, your self-reflection link, and your deadline. All the things are there. All that you need to do is to start working. For your group assignment, you can have maximum 5 students in a group. So you can start forming your team, and then you can put in your WhatsApp group, group number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Group number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just list down your name under each group so that people don't get confused. And I will keep recording those with me. Is that clear?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Well, because the first day we tried to organize groups because we did discussion during the class, and that time because the number couldn't be divided by 5, so we organized a group of 6. So there are already 6 people in our group, and we are doing programs for other subjects. Can we still keep in one group?
I leave the group formation to you. How you want to form the group, I leave it to you. What I need is groups with 5 members.
But because we already have 6, and we've been.
Oh, you have
working
6
together.
members.
Yeah, 6 members. That's the thing, because the first day, because the number.
All right. Okay.
Of
If that's the case, you have members of 6. Okay. No problem.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. No issue.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So everything is there. Please explore this. You need to log in every week. You need to record your attendance. You need to download the materials and so on. I'll be adding some quizzes and so on later for you to just explore and see. Okay. So pretty much you will find a lot of things there, but I'll be adding some more case studies to each week for your reading and reference, so that you will have a better exposure, and we'll be taking up different cases in the classroom as well. So I hope you have quite an understanding of what you need to do. Now let's move on and look at your syllabus.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay, in my portal, I see international business. I have 2. I have international business and I have international business G2.
Okay, you only need to look at group 2, G2, okay?
Okay.
The other one you can ignore.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's quickly look at your syllabus, what you need to do. I'm sure you must have gone through, but still for my comfort, let's quickly go through. So please remember the subject code is MGT 7133 because recently there is an update on the subject code. You might see the old subject code popping up somewhere. Don't worry, don't get confused. You have to use MGT 7133. It's a 3-credit subject and there are 3 learning outcomes. Display effective communication leadership to support corporate sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and ethics associated with organizations' international business decision making. Then discuss various operational solutions towards international business problems and opportunities, and integrate managerial entrepreneurial skills in developing economic performance and social decisions in international economics. So your group assignment will be based mostly on CLO 2 and 3, and your self-reflection will be reflecting CLO 1. Okay, that's how it is designed. So if you look at the topics, there are few important topics that are being discussed here. Okay, like international trade. Okay, then we look at global economy, foreign exchange, trade policies, international strategic management and alliance, challenges, culture and ethics, and so on. Now, I may not follow these topics exactly as they are, but I'll be following in my own sequence. So in the process, you will find topics which are not stated here being covered, and some of the topics which are stated here may not be covered. Okay, so those topics which are not covered here, it is for your reading, self-reading and reflection. All right, so that's how it is designed. So I have picked up topics which I feel is very important for you to understand as a student of international business, and my focus will be on those. So we have 2 components, 20% which is self-reflection and 40% which is a scenario-based assignment. Okay, and then your examination will cover 40%. So this examination is going to be a take-home examination for you, which will be released by week 11 later on. So this covers your reading reference is given here, so you can buy your own books, start reading. Okay, so that's about, I think, your syllabus, which is not very tough but very interesting at the same time. So I hope you can have a look at the syllabus. Now to look at your assignment, let's look at the assignment for you to understand it better. You can download the assignment brief. It's already there in your LMS, but still I would love to discuss with you here. Are you able to see my page, assignment brief?
Yeah.
All right, great. So this is the assignment brief with the cover page. This cover page must be there for both the assignments, your self-reflection and group assignment. So list down the student ID, then list down the student name for group. Then you can just type your name in the place of signature. If it is self-reflection, only one. It's a group, everybody has to either sign or type your name here in the sign column and put the date. Okay, so you have 2 components. group report, which covers CLO 2 and 3, self-reflection, which covers CLO 1. So together it covers 60% of the components, and the CLOs are clearly stated here. And the submission week for your assignment 1 is 9th week, and maximum number, since you said 6 students, I'm okay. You can have 5 to 6 students. The word count is 3,500 words plus minus 10%. And the word count does not include appendixes and references. So what do you need to do in your group project? Okay, so your company's business is doing well. This is the scenario given, okay? And the board means the governing, okay? The governing board has decided it's time to go global with one of the products. You are the international marketing manager and have been tasked with researching the global options and making a recommendation on where to go. You have 3 viable options. You can choose Asia, Africa, or Europe. So which means you're going to choose a country from Asia, Africa, or Europe. So companies and countries should not be repeated. Country and company will be allocated based on first come, first serve basis. So I expect that, let's say if all of you are from China, you should be choosing a company from China. Then you should choose a country, maybe from any of these 3 continents, maybe from Africa, Europe, or Asia. And you're trying to enter into that country. That's the story. So what are the things you need to do? You're given approximately 7 tasks.
Sorry,
Yes.
just to make sure. So like, I'm from China, so I need to choose a company from here in China. But if I am going to like expand our business in another country out of China, right?
Yes, you're going to enter into another country, not same China.
Okay, thank you.
Let's say if there are students mixed groups, then you have to decide which company you will choose from which country and which country you want to enter into. As a team, you have to decide that. All right. So 7 tasks: introduction, choose a company with potential for going global, and provide its description. So when you're giving description, we are looking at a brief history of the company, product range. Maybe you can talk about the innovations they have, maybe the market accessibility they have, and a few other things which are very important. You don't have to copy everything, okay? Maybe you can show the board of directors and few things which you feel is really important to introduce the company. And for example, you can choose automobile, telecom, electronics, pharmaceuticals, any type of industry. Now you have to do a background research, give a general description for each global market. So you have to give a general description for Asia, 1 paragraph enough, Africa 1 paragraph, Europe 1 paragraph. In terms of, so maybe you can do a comparative study, in terms of culture, because the culture in Asia is different from Africa and Europe. Politics is different, climate is different, ease of doing business. I'll be teaching you how to do these things, corruption perception index. Okay, I'll be teaching you where to find information and so on, in comparison to the country in which your business is. Third, you're going to do an environmental scan. So based on your research, decide which global market, Asia, Africa, or Europe, would work best for the product you currently have. So that means you're narrowing down to 1. You cannot choose all 3. So either you have to choose Asia, Africa, or Europe, and 1 country from that continent. If you say Asia, maybe let's say Malaysia. If you say Africa, let's say you say South Africa or Nigeria. Or if you say Europe, you may say France, Germany, Italy, etc. Number 2, state at least 3 reasons with supporting evidence for choosing this market for your company, and choose a specific country to market your product. So you have to give supporting reasons with evidence why you feel this market is better than any other market. So when I say state reasons, you're expected to do some research and you have to give citations for your assignment. It's not about just copying and pasting. You are expected to do research. So research means you have to provide citations and referencing. That's very, very important. If there is no citations and referencing in your assignment, you will get minimum marks. You will never cross a 60 or 65. So with sufficient researching, with citations and referencing, you can always score better. Please remember, at master's level, you are supposed to do a lot of research, not just copy and paste. Thirdly, you have to do a pestle analysis. I'll be teaching you how to do. I'm sure some of you must be knowing it, but still we will be discussing it maybe in the next class or something. Then we do a cultural analysis, because this is a very important aspect in international business, understanding culture. So how do we do the cultural analysis? We'll be using the Hofstede's cultural dimensions. I'll be teaching you how to do it. So my suggestion is, as and when I teach you one topic, you must be finishing that topic in your assignment. So it will be easy for you. Target market entry strategies. I'm going to teach you the entry strategies. So you have two tasks here. Evaluate at least 4 different ways your company can enter the global market. Then choose the best. Okay, one strategy for your company using supporting, sorry, there is some error, using supporting evidence. Okay. Number 6, timing of entry. Based on your research, decide if it is the best time to enter the chosen market in it at this time, especially everywhere COVID-19 is there. Businesses are not doing well. Do you think this is the right time to do business, to enter a market, or you need to wait or watch? Obviously, you have to support your claim using factual information from your research. That's very, very important. And finally, you remember the scenario I given you. You are the international marketing manager, right? And you are asked to do all these things. So you have to write like a marketing manager. That's very important. And the last section, you need to come out with recommendations on appropriate international marketing mix strategies. Okay. I believe you are taking your marketing management in this semester. Are you taking marketing management? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes, that's very good. So I won't be teaching, marketing mix. I'll be just giving you a reference to it. So you're expected
But what if we are not learning that this semester?
If you're learning marketing management, definitely you're going to learn marketing mix.
No, we are not. It's not in our schedule.
How many subjects you are taking? You're taking 4 subjects, right?
Yeah.
Which are they?
Managerial economics, economic, informatic, business informatic, and organization behavior, and yours international business.
So if that's the case, I will definitely spend some time on this, but you should be doing your reading, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay, so these are the 7 tasks. This is the marking criteria. You remember, you see, for every task, you need to get at least 6 marks to pass in that particular task. So overall passing is 60%, don't forget. Okay, so each element maximum, like certain items, there are more marks, like cultural analysis, target market, timing of entry, recommendations, they got 15 marks. So you need to write more for these sections. Some sections you got only maximum 10 marks. So you need to write probably a little less when compared to other sections. You understand? So you please strategize based on this. And there is marks for structuring, formatting, and referencing, 10 marks. Now, some people think that it covers only 10 marks, so I'll work for my 90 marks. No. If you have no referencing, you cannot cross 60 or 65, whatever may be your work. Please remember this. So you have to understand the importance of research in master's level, and so referencing is very important. Structuring means, writing in good English is very important. Giving good format is very important. So all those put together, because this 10 marks will affect the rest of the 90 marks. If your format is wrong, structure is wrong, referencing is not there, your 90 marks will go down to 60 marks or below that immediately. That's how it works. So please understand the importance, not only for my subject, every subject, that's the same story. The structuring, formatting requisitions are there. All right, and spacing, everything is given there. Coursework policy is stated here, where the Turnitin percentage maximum plagiarism is 30%, not more than that. And that 30% should not be from a single source. Please remember this. So all these things are stated clearly here. Let's say if you are unable to complete your coursework due to some reason, then you need to apply with the reason. For example, if it's a medical reason, provide the medical certificate. So in that case, we will keep your marks as incomplete, and later on we will give you a chance to complete and submit your marks based on the evidences you provide. Okay, so that means your marks will not be capped. If it's a recit, normally we cap the marks at 60. You can't get more than 60 if it is a recit. I mean, you understand. But if you are applying for extenuation, then there is no capping of the marks to 60. Then you have the second component for 20%. The word count is 2,500, and you will be submitting this by the week 11 normally. There's no presentation component, okay? So it is purely coursework submission. 4 questions only to answer, very easy questions. Discuss the major learnings. Okay, it says, what is your major learning from your assignment? Okay, from your group assignment and from your overall course. So you have to list down, what did you learn from your group assignment? What did you learn from your course? That's a self-reflection, right? So what you learned, you have to write in your own words. Then number 2, critically analyze 4 communication strategies to support corporate sustainability, corporate social responsibility, ethics. This is basically your learning outcome number 1. This part you have to start reading your ebook if you want to answer this. I may not spend a lot of time on this at all, okay? I will definitely go through ethics, but you have to read the ebook to answer this question. Discuss with example how the culture of a country has influenced you as a business student. So for example, you're all supposed to come to Malaysia basically, right? But unfortunately you couldn't come. So imagine you are in Malaysia, so you have to talk about how Malaysian culture has influenced you as a business student, okay? Anybody has visited Malaysia before? Or anyone is in Malaysia right now? Anybody?
I live in Malaysia.
Oh, you live in Malaysia. That's fantastic. Hey, you come to campus sometime. Say hello to me, okay?
For sure.
Yes, you're most welcome to come and meet me in the campus. Maybe we can have a cup of tea together. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I like Genting Casino.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're in Genting. Feng, are you in Genting, you said?
I ever play in Genting Casino in London.
Oh, you visited Genting Highland Casino. Did you make some money?
A little.
A little bit, huh? You lost a lot. Okay. I do go to Genting Highland, but I never gamble. I just love to see others losing money, not me losing money. Okay. All right. Coming back to the fourth task, critically analyze for leadership strategies to support corporate sustainability. Again, you got to read on in your ebook or any other source you can read to understand corporate leadership strategies. And the marking scheme, each question carries 25 marks, and you need to score at least 15 marks for each of these to get your 60 marks. This overall grading criteria, they're all listed down here. Okay, so that's your assignment, I believe. Do you have any questions on your assignment before I move on?
Is this going to be in our LMS, this whole explanation?
It's all there in your LMS. Explanation means what? The document or the video?
This document.
Document is there. Yeah, you can go and download from your LMS, okay?
Because last week class was under another lecturer, so today is another. So it's going to be under the same LMS under international business, right? Because this is my first batch. First intake, sorry.
It's okay. When you check your LMS, what does it say? International Business Group 2?
No. ODL, International Business.
ODL?
International Business.
You are not an ODL student, right?
I am. I'm in BHM.
Oh,
but
okay.
Today LMS is a little bit different.
Okay. What I'll do is, I will get you enrolled into this particular LMS, into this course.
Okay.
Okay, then it will be easy for you, I believe. Just those students, especially from MBA HM, do list down your name and student ID. Okay, in the WhatsApp group. So I'll enroll you into this particular course later. So when I enroll you, you can still have the other one, because we may not be using the other one because there's a common course which is easy for me to manage. Is that clear now?
Yes. Okay. In the WhatsApp group, as in the International Business September 21 Group 2, right? That
G2,
group, right?
yeah, Group 2.
Yeah, G2. Thank you.
Yes, correct. Any other student from MBA HM here other than Lau?
Yeah, myself as well, Charlene.
Charlene, Samuel.
Correct, yeah.
Anyone else?
Myself, Rosalina.
Okay, so everyone, all of you who are from MBA HM, please list down your student ID and name in the WhatsApp group. I will enroll you into this particular course shell. So then you'll be able to see everything there. But I'll do that after the class, okay?
Thank you. Last question, Dr. Syriac. So would this be the first, or is this a second class? Because we had a class last week with...
This is going to be the first class.
Sorry?
First class.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions on your assignment?
Hi, Doctor. My
Yes.
name is Mari. I just wanted to ask about the group assignment. How are the groups being assigned?
You have to form your own groups. You can have maximum 6 members in a group.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. And once you form your group, please list down your group members in the WhatsApp group, so that I know who are members of your group. Clear?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, try to mix and match. So that will be a good, because it's international business. So try to bring in members from different countries to get that varied experience. All right, anything else? So silence means everything is okay, I believe. So you got an idea about what your course looks like, what you're going to do, what is the mechanism, what are the assessments, what is the reading material you have, what are your PowerPoints. I think everything is clear to you. How you're going to do your attendance, things are very clear. So any other questions you have? Anything that is burning inside you, you want to ask me? Nothing per se. Okay, I have a question. Can you all understand me when I talk?
Yes.
Yes.
Loud and clear?
Loud and
Yes.
Am I
Yes,
too
loud and
fast?
clear. No.
No, it's okay, right?
Yes.
Students from China, are you able to catch me?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay.
Oh, fantastic. That's very good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the modus operandi of the class is like this, that you are expected to talk to me, not remain silent. Okay. Because once I start sharing my slides, I cannot see even if you type in the message box, or even if you raise your hand, it will be very difficult for me to see, because I'm actually on another page, not in this particular page. Okay. So I expect you to interrupt me. It may be to ask a question. It may be to share an idea. Maybe you have something interesting from your own country you want to share. Interrupt me and share your thoughts and ideas. I really love that. Okay. So I expect everyone to kind of chit chat with me during my classes. Don't make me talk too much. I'm an old man. Okay. So please share the burden with me by sharing your ideas and interesting thoughts or examples, your work experiences, because I know almost every one of you are working and in different field. I'm sure you have tons of experience to share, which are very relevant for the class. So do not hold it back, share with us. All right. And after the class, I'll definitely be uploading the link for the recording. So you can watch the recording if needed again and again. It's going to be there in the LMS. Okay. Having said so, I think it's time to move on quickly to the class and finish our session. Okay, now remember, international business is a module which mostly moves around, current affairs, what's happening around us. Though we are going to look at a lot of theories, but at the same time, we should be able to correlate whatever we learn with what is happening around us. So a lot of reference will be made to what is happening around us, and I expect you to go back and do your research on those matters. For example, I'll be talking about, US, China, France, Germany, a lot of countries, what's happening, how they're dealing with, with different issues when it comes to international business. Those things definitely comes from the current affairs. So you can share your thoughts, because I'm sure you're also keeping your eyes open on all these issues. So do share with me if I missed out something, and that really makes this class interesting. Okay, the normal mechanism is the lecturer keep talking until he drops dead, right? That's how it works. 3 hours. I really don't want to do that. You don't want to see me drop dead after one class, right? So you can definitely share your thoughts and ideas with me. and make the class interesting and lively. Okay, I really miss all of you guys. If you were face to face here, definitely the method of delivery would have been very different. But now we are online, we've got many limitations, but in spite of that, we'll try to make it interesting and lively class. All right, good. So I know some of you missed last week's class, and probably you went through it, but therefore I'll be moving through quite quickly through this class, because this gives you an overview of international business, what international business looks like, what are the key terms that you need to remember, and we'll look at some very good examples, how things work out in different countries and so on. So today's learning objectives, obviously the basics, understanding IB, international business. Okay, then we look at the basic forms of international business activities. We'll also look at terms like globalization, internationalization, and and so on. Obviously, when you think about international business, I'm sure one of the company that comes to your mind first is Apple. And most of you proudly hold your Apple phone today, even to listen to my lecture. Am I right or wrong? Am I right? So how did this company create this impact of international business? Through their user-centered design. If you remember, Steve Jobs did not go around asking or doing market surveys. He did not do that. That's why he's called a visionary leader, He knew exactly what customers wanted. He knew exactly what customers would need after 5 years, 10 years. So he could foresee, he had that intuition, he had that impulse to understand what customer needs. That's where the iPhone emerged. So the user-centered design concept, if you see, and then came many models of smartphones in the market from different companies. But the basic model, if you see, it was adopted from Apple. Then came Samsung with bigger screen, right? I hope you remember the evolution of smartphone industry over the last 15 years. It's quite interesting. Okay, obviously they were able to sell their product at a premium because this is what the customer wanted. So Apple was not selling a smartphone. Apple was selling user experience, basically. So if you are a marketing guy, you don't sell products. What do you sell? You sell benefits. Do you agree with me? Anyone from marketing field here? Guys? Anybody? Nobody? So if you're a marketer, you try to sell the product, you become a total failure. But you try to sell the benefit, you become an instant success. For example, when you are selling a pen, what do you sell? What do you sell when you're trying to sell a pen? You are selling good writing. You understand? When Rolls-Royce sells their car, what do they sell? Do they sell a car? Do they sell an automobile? No. They sell what? Prestige. So
Fancy transportation.
Pardon?
Fancy transportation.
Fancy transportation. Even they wouldn't call it as transportation. They may like to limit themselves to, prestige and something fancy and so on. Because the moment they say transportation, their unique selling proposition or unique selling value declines a lot. So you need to identify, for a marketer, what is the benefit behind each product that you want to sell? When you're buying a smartphone, what do you buy? You're buying convenience, you're buying communication, you're buying ease of doing business. You understand? That's what you're buying. You're not buying a piece of technology there. So this is the concept we as marketers need to understand first. And this is what Apple understood. So obviously, you understand what is international business, right? It's all about doing business between two countries or more than two countries. So when we compare international business and domestic business, you can always draw parallel between a few points like boundaries. Domestic business is, within a certain boundary, geographic boundary. It is defined within a country. Whereas international business means you move beyond the borders, you move to another country. Same way, currency becomes different. In domestic business, you exchange using the currency of a country. But in the moment you talk about international business, you talk about, doing transactions using dollars or in another foreign currency or in cryptocurrency or whatever, or in Bitcoin, for example. And the legal systems are very different. It may not be as similar to that of your own country. It could be very different. So you need to be aware of it. So knowing the currency system, legal system, culture, understanding different types of resources is very important. Earlier, if you see the traditional way of understanding resources like this, you have men, money, machines, materials. Now, companies add one more resource. It's called, data. Those who own the data, they own the world, they own the business today. That's why you find the clash of titans, the clash between America and China taking place. Why? They want to own the data. Today, whoever will own the data will control the world. That's how it is. That's why the clause of sharing of data, especially with all these internet-based business companies, there's a clause which says you have to share the data with our country. If not, you can't do business. So most of the rivalries or business issues or problems that you see around the world is big on data. So if you have data, you are a billionaire today. That's a resource that we are talking about. Culture is very different. We are going to spend a lot of time on culture because I feel as a lecturer that if you don't understand the culture of your country, you can't do business in another country. You may have the money, you may have resource, but if you don't understand the fabrics of the society, the way, the nerves and veins of a culture, you will never be able to be successful. That's why many businesses had to exit countries. The recent example I give you, two major automobile giants from US had to exit India. Do you know which are those companies? It happened quite recently. One just last week, another one a few months before. The pioneers in automobiles, who are they? Who are the pioneers in automobiles? American companies I'm referring to, General Motors and Ford. Right? General Motors and Ford. They had to exit India. Now, India is a country of 1.4 billion people. How come they couldn't do business in India? It's an interesting case study. You can go back and start searching what went wrong with Ford and General Motors in India. Why they had to exit. Probably they had the resource, they had everything, but what went wrong? So I hope you can read and understand, and maybe somebody can, discuss it in tomorrow in the next class. Okay, I did my research, I want to present it. You're most welcome. I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes. You can do your presentation in the class. Absolutely okay. Now, when we look at stages of international marketing, there are 5 stages that you need to understand. Stage 1 is domestic marketing. That's a stage, absolutely, there is no internationalization. But in stage 2, where export marketing takes place, where you are exporting a product which is manufactured for the domestic market. There is no change in the product. There is no change in the brand name. There is no change in packaging. There is no change in quality, quantity, anything. Okay, I'm producing it for Malaysia. Now I'm going to send it to Indonesia. I'm producing it for China. I will send it to, let's say, Tanzania. This stage is called ethnocentric approach. Because you say, what is good for Chinese people in China will be good for people in Tanzania. Ethnocentrism. The feeling that whatever my country's consumers consume will be accepted by another country's consumers. Interesting concept, right? Okay, let me also check whether I'm... Hello guys, are you all there with me?
Hi, Professor. I'm a little confused. Are you changing slide? Because I don't see the slide changing at all.
Oh, you can't see the slide changing. Can you see now? Is there any slide change?
Now, I think you're on slide 5.
What slide do you see?
Stage of international marketing.
That's right, I'm there only.
Okay, so before I couldn't see any change.
Oh, okay, got it. So you just tell me, okay, if you can't see. I assume you can see. All right. So stage 2, export marketing, minimum effort from the company, because the product is the same, the marketing effort is the same. Only difference is it is sold in another country. So that's why it is called the ethnocentric approach. So the third level, we have beautiful example of ethnocentric let's start with, look at Nissan, how they have used this ethnocentric approach. So initially they felt, whatever is good for Japan will be good for other countries. That's how they marketed their product. They never made any changes in the product. They sold exactly as they were sold in Japan. The design, the safety features, the engine power, the aerodynamics, everything, it was exactly the same. They're just exporting it, put it in a ship, send it to another country, that's all. So this is called, ethnocentric approach. The third level is called international marketing. This is the stage where you start manufacturing different products for different countries. We call it as a polycentric approach. Poly means many. Okay? Polyandry, polygamy. Mono, opposite is mono, okay? Monogamy, monotheism, monolinguistic, the word. So the prefix mono means one, poly means many. So polycentric approach means you start manufacturing different products for different countries based on taste, preference, consumer behavior, and so on. So, companies like Ford, Suzuki, Toyota, GM, Nissan, they all started doing this polycentric approach. Obviously, this calls for greater investment. Not everybody can think of polycentric approach. You need different platforms to manufacture different types of cars, right? You need different types of production units. All these things are very important. Then comes the fourth stage called multinational marketing. So this stage, you find instead of producing different goods for different countries, you start producing goods for different regions. That means you group countries into different regions. For example, we have the Southeast Asian region. So 10 countries, you treat them as a one consumer hub. Then you have the South Asian region. Maybe, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, one region. Then even in Africa, you have, the northern region, you have the southern region and so on. So you club them as regions and produce goods for regions, not for countries. Definitely business-wise, this makes sense because it's easy to manufacture. It saves time and money at the same time. Okay, so this approach is called a regiocentric approach because you're producing goods not for a country, but for a region, a bigger region. And the fifth stage is called global marketing. Obviously, if you want to go for international marketing and global marketing, you will definitely need bigger, greater money power, resources. Okay, not every company can go into. So we have conglomerates like Pepsi or Coke or Amazon or Alibaba. These kind of countries definitely can go for this kind of global marketing approach where you're looking at geocentric approach. You come out with a single product which can cater to every customer globally. So you have homogeneous products. That means you have products which are similar in nature. So most of the Coke produced, most of the countries, the taste and flavor will be similar, most, not all, most. But if you go to maybe a country like India, you may find the flavor of Coke will be more strong when compared to the flavor in Malaysia or in China. You understand? Because the taste and preferences of different consumers are different in different countries. This is very, very interesting. So we have a classical example of a company called European Silicon Structure. So what did they do? They incorporated, the company is incorporated in Luxembourg, headquarters established in Munich, research facilities in England, and factory in France. And they even went further and they had directors from 7 different countries. So this is a classical example of, global marketing. Today, a lot of companies do this. The R&D is in one country, maybe R&D is done in France, but production is in China because the labor cost is cheaper there. Okay, and maybe their warehousing is in another country because the warehousing charges are much efficient and cheaper there, and then the transportation is to another country and consumed in another country and so on. So, the global logistics and also the geocentric approach has made life easier for companies nowadays. So we'll be looking at all these terms as we go ahead and exploring it further. Any questions, if you have, don't fail to ask me, or if you have any points you want to add to.
I think your slide stays at where it is.
Slide not moving.
Yeah, I think you didn't click on the PowerPoint slideshow. That's why when you click on your side, we are unable to see it from our side.
Still, it's the same.
Yeah, we are still at slide 5. This is what in my,
I'm on slideshow, yes.
yeah.
But-
But from what we are seeing, it's just now it's slide 5. Now you change it to slide 8, I think. Yeah.
Okay, let me try again. Can you see?
I can see, but it's still the same.
Oh, I think this is the problem with Google Meet today, I think. Maybe I stop sharing first. Share again. What's the situation now?
I can see you are at slide 7.
Is it on? Is it a PowerPoint show or normal slide?
Normal slide. It's not the PowerPoint show.
Okay. Okay, it's okay because I tried to put it on PowerPoint show. Any technicians who can help me out? What could be the reason? Anything better? Is it the same for everyone? The experience? Hello.
It's the same
I
for
cannot
me.
see anything. I cannot see the slide at all.
Oh. How about others?
I see you at stages of international marketing, stage 3, stage 4.
Stage 4.
Yeah. Multinational marketing.
Same, I see the same thing as Charlene. You're at number 7, the slides number 7.
Okay, this is quite interesting. So, but what if I move my slides without PowerPoint? Can you see now?
Yeah, when you move a slide, yes.
You can see,
Now
but
can.
when
Now
I-
it's slide 6, yes.
Oh,
Why don't
when
we
I put
carry
it
on
on
a manual way
slideshow,
then? Since
Is
slideshow
it
not
only me?
moving.
I still cannot see anything.
okay. What do you
Yes.
see? Blank? mean,
I
you're-
see black.
You see black.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
But I can see you.
You can
As a
see me.
teacher.
That's more important. Okay.
Oh, now I can see the slide.
I can see the Nissan SUV.
Okay, Nissan, okay. So I think probably because you're using the VPN cracked version, that could be the reason.
Yeah, I can see your slide in page 706.
6, okay. All right. So my PowerPoint, when I put it on slideshow, you can't see, but normal, it's okay. Right?
Yep.
Okay, I just show it like this, if that's the case. So I think should be okay for you. So we were looking at, for your information, okay, we were looking at, international marketing, polycentric approach, then multinational marketing, regiocentric approach. And then finally, we looked at global marketing, geocentric approach. Correct? So far, okay, right? You can see, right?
Yes.
So then we were looking also at, factors or events affecting global business in today's context. Obviously, one of the most important event was, the formation of WTO, World Trade Organization, and regional trade treaties. We're going to look at all these mechanisms and institutions later on in different classes. Okay, we'll study about WTO, we'll study about regional trade treaties and so on. Then many countries opened up, you know, in the 90s, if you see, especially most of the Asian countries were not opened up for trade and business. They were closed mechanisms like India, China, you know, they were quite reserved about allowing foreign companies to come in and so on. But, you know, from the 90s, if you see, there is a drastic shift taking place in how they look at foreign companies. And, you know, they were open to globalization, liberalization, privatization concepts. As a result, you found consumers had choices. They could, you know, experience products from different countries. And that also led to more competition among companies, reducing prices of goods and services and so on. And again, you know, the internet revolution, that's another factor, because people were connected through internet, and physical distancing was no more an issue when it came to do business. People could do business virtually using different platforms as we are doing today, and aided by especially smartphones and other, you know, video calling, you know, apps. So this has all, you know, evolved international business to a large extent. Just imagine if we did not have all these video calling apps during COVID-19, all of us would have been in big trouble. The learning would not have taken place, business would not have taken place. But today, if you see, learning is taking place without much problem. We are able to still discuss, learn. Business is going as usual, or even some companies are doing much, much better business than pre-COVID scenario. Okay. And the China's Belt and Road Initiative is another concept that has actually evolved business to a large extent from Africa to Europe to Asia. Okay, I believe all of you are familiar with the concept of Belt and Road. Anyone who say don't know Belt and Road? So all of you are aware of the Silk Road that China has created. So they have created, you know, the road, you know, they have the road connectivity to Europe. They have the longest railway network. And they also have the Silk Road, the maritime route connectivity to different countries. You know, that was the success of China, in fact. That's how they were able to move their goods and services at a very fast pace because of their maritime connectivity and also through their belt initiatives and road initiatives. Another event, you know, hacking. Now, hacking is a global menace. You know, we have hacking on military, we're hacking on business establishments, we're hacking on nuclear facilities. All those things are happening on a regular basis today. And, you know, there are countries who can hack into any networks and systems. They're very powerful. Okay. So that is one factor that has affected you know, online or global business. Then the introduction of cryptocurrency, especially the Bitcoin. And now we have so many types of cryptocurrencies available. Even, you know, last week my wife invested in some recent emerging cryptocurrency. She said, you know, after 10 years, I'll become a billionaire. Now, obviously, she's losing money every day. I'm having my laugh today, but I don't know whether she'll be laughing at me after 10 years. Okay, it's quite interesting. Anyone who has invested in some of the cryptocurrencies and earning money or losing money? Anybody? No one? Maybe you're too shy. Maybe some of you are billionaires through cryptocurrencies.
Yes, I lose my money.
Oh, you lose your money, huh? Is it big money or small money?
I have bought the Dogecoin.
Oh, you have the Dogecoin. Okay, interesting. In China, cryptocurrency is still allowed or not?
Not to be alone.
Allowed. Okay, all right. So all these factors, you know, and these are things happening around us. So we should be definitely reading about those. Okay, and COVID-19, the latest of all is the COVID-19 that has affected business. All of you have seen how much we have struggled, you know. Most of the traditional businesses have closed down. You know, five-star hotels closed down, no business, right? Small restaurants closed down, no business. But then the emergence of online business have saved many of these small and big businesses. I mean, in the last 2 years, there were many billionaires than in the last 10 years put together. And all these billionaires were, you know, they made their money through online business. So there is a sea of opportunity, I would say, for those who really want to make money. But if you are not techno savvy, then it is a problem for you, not an opportunity for you. So all these, even, you know, look at the recent convergence of 3 countries, you know, Australia, UK, and US. Have you read about it? AUKUS. Did you people read about AUKUS?
No, not heard of it.
AUKS.
No.
No. I mean, that's what the whole world is discussing, you know. UK, US, and Australia have come together. They have formed a kind of a trilateral treaty called AUKUS, which will enable UK to transfer the nuclear submarine technology to Australia so that they can build their nuclear powered submarines. Obviously, the argument that they make is that China is becoming very powerful in the South China Sea. So if they want to contain China, then they need to come together. So France was really very angry about this whole arrangement because in fact, Australia and France were having some kind of negotiation going on for you know, defense deal. So France has recalled the ambassadors from Australia and UK in protest, you know. So if you don't read, you know, these kind of incidences, then your international business becomes incomplete. Okay. I'll be sharing with you a lot of such kind of similar interesting incidences that are happening around us on a day-to-day basis as we go ahead and hit different topics. So these are, you know, some of the factors that has actually shaped international business. Okay. And let me tell you another incident, you know, the exit of America from Afghanistan. That's going to be another event that's going to affect international business for good or bad. Because I'm sure China is going to help Taliban to rebuild Afghanistan to a large extent. In the process, China will be able to connect to other countries using Afghanistan, you know, part of their Belt and Road Initiative. So that is going to be something interesting that we need to really watch and wait and watch, in fact, and see how it is evolving, what is the impact, whether the impact is good or bad, and so on. So let's look at some of the top global risk by likelihood. These are risks that is going to affect global business. Like if you look at the risk by likelihood, then extreme weather, climate action failure, human environmental damage, infectious diseases, biodiversity loss, etc. will be you know, very important, you know, ranking from first rank to second rank to fifth rank. If you look by risk by impact, infectious disease has taken over everything because in the last 2 years, COVID-19 has had its, you know, last say on everything and everything. Right? I have not seen people smiling for the last 2 years. It's very difficult. Otherwise, I have to be alone, somewhere alone, then turn on my video, then, you know, connect to somebody. Face to face, you can't smile, right? You don't even remember how people look like because the face, I think of the newborn children. They can't even remember their parents' face most of the time because it's covered with mask. So infectious diseases, it's not only COVID-19, there are so many other infectious diseases like, dengue, then Nipah virus, AIDS. There are a lot of other factors that has played dominant role in international business. Climate action. Yes, the global temperature is rising every year. And it is said that, and we can see the impact, right? We have weird weather conditions every day now. In the last 2 years, we have tsunamis, we have flood. China has witnessed terrible flood typhoons in the last 2 months. Am I right or wrong? Correct? Same way, every country is facing climatic changes. Europe is going through extreme weather conditions. They have extreme heat, extreme cold, extreme snowfalls, flooding, whatnot is happening. So that's where, when President Trump withdrew from the Paris Climate Treaty, there was a hoo-ha. But obviously, Joe Biden came back and rejoined the Paris Climate Treaty. That was one of his first priority. But look around, they say in the next 20 or 30 years, most of the big cities near to the coastal areas will be underwater. What happened to Jakarta? I don't know whether you have read about Jakarta. Jakarta, the Indonesian capital, it is moving away to another island because Jakarta city is sinking rapidly than expected. And most of the city is already underwater. So they are rebuilding the capital in another island and moving away from there. Classical example of global warming. So we have seen all these factors, So climate, global warming, and it is estimated that the temperature will rise by at least 2 degrees Celsius. If that happens, we are directly heading for a major catastrophe. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. So every country is trying their best to reduce the carbon emission. There is a carbon emission pact. There is something called, there is something called carbon, what is that? I just forgot. Okay, it just skipped out of my mind. I'll talk about it a bit later. Okay, so what countries do is, this is called carbon credit system. Sorry, I got it. Carbon credit system. So what happens in a carbon credit system? So where, the UN says every country can emit maximum amount of carbon. For example, China can emit 200. Malaysia can emit 100. India can emit, let's say, 150. US can emit, let's say, 180. That's a maximum limit in a year for carbon emission. So, but some countries emit more carbon because of industrialization. Some countries might emit less carbon. So let's say the upper limit for Malaysia is 150, China is 200. But Malaysia emitted less than 150. Let's say in 2020, let's say they emitted only 120. So there's a 30 credits remaining with them, which they can sell to China. Let's say China emitted 230, their upper ceiling is 200. So China can buy the carbon credits from Malaysia to neutralize the effect. But let me tell you, my dear friends, this carbon credit system did not work very well. Though on paper it looks very nice, in practice it is not working very well. So the only way is to reduce the carbon emission, reduce the usage of fossil fuel, especially the usage of diesel and petrol. That's why a lot of countries are moving towards electric cars nowadays. That's the reason they are encouraging electric cars. Okay, and if you look at another reason, the ozone layer depletion. You know, last year, you know, the scientists said that the ozone layer depletion has slowed down because the carbon emission was less in 2021 because of the COVID-19. No flights were flying around. But this year again, the ozone layer the hole has become bigger and bigger. And if the ozone layer thins and depletes and disappears, you know, we all will be under direct radiation from the sun, which will lead to increased cancer, increased mutations, and other climatic problems and health issues. So all these things, you know, has an impact on international business. That's why countries are worried about a lot. You know, a few years before, classical example is Indonesia, for example. You know, in Malaysia, we had, you know, smog or fog every day. Indonesia would burn the peat forest in order to plant palm oil plants or trees, so that smoke could travel from Indonesia to Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, all these countries. And we were always wearing a mask here 4 or 5 years before. But last 2-3 years, that issue has not come about because most of the European countries started boycotting Indonesian palm oil, saying that they're burning forest and, you know, leading to deforestation and global warming. So as a result, last 2 years, you find less and less of burning. We don't see any smoke in Malaysia. We are quite happy. Our air is clean. I don't know, those in Malaysia have experienced this before. Have you ever seen this happening?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay. So last 2 years, we are wearing masks not because of the smoke, but because of COVID. Am I right?
Correct.
Palm oil both is rich.
Yes. Okay, so, you know, this kind of interesting phenomena are closely linked to international business. We may think, you know, how is it related to business? But when we start analyzing things, you will find every event that happens globally has an impact on business. Now, who are the key players in international business? Obviously, they are multinational corporations from wealthy nations. When we say wealthy nations, we are looking at US, UK, Canada, France, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Japan, South Korea, even China nowadays, wealthy. China is not a developed nation, but it's a fast emerging as a high-end developing nation. Okay, so firms from emerging markets, when we say emerging, we'll be studying the concept of emerging markets later. So emerging markets are markets which are rapidly evolving, growing, like India, China, Brazil, South Africa. You know, we call it as the BRICS nations, BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, BRICS nations. B stands for Brazil, R stands for Russia, I stands for India, C for China, and S for South Africa. So BRICS countries are the emerging markets. Even Indonesia is also an emerging market, rapidly growing, evolving. Bangladesh is an emerging market. Okay. Then small and medium-sized companies are also key international players nowadays. Then multinational corporations, like we can take examples of Walmart. We have examples of Alibaba. We have examples of eBay, Amazon, Apple. There's tons of examples we have in front of us. Now the question is, why should you study international business? You know, knowing about it, is it not enough? Why should we study as a subject? Because of many reasons. Obviously, you can build your career in international business. You know, it's something very interesting. It's a fascinating career. You can travel from country to country, deal with different people of different cultures. It's really something very, very interesting, you know. And you will be abreast with what is happening around the world as an international marketer. And you will also learn a lot about different cultures, different beliefs, value systems, consumer behavior, and so on. So these are some of the reasons why we need to study international business. So what are the international business activities that takes place? Most of these are known to you, like exporting and importing, nothing strange. You hear this term almost every day, right from your childhood. Okay, international investors. When we talk about international investors, we are talking about either foreign direct investment or foreign institutional investors. There is a difference between these two. Foreign direct investors invest their money in a country, you know, building infrastructure, you know, hiring people, you know, bringing in machinery and so on. So that is a hard investment. Whereas FIIs, foreign institutional investors, invest in stocks, bonds, shares. These are soft investments which can be withdrawn at any point of time. Then we have international licensing that takes place between different countries. For example, if you look at Coke and Pepsi, they operate on licensing most of the time. Okay, they don't they give license to different countries, businessmen to operate on their behalf, and they have something called as bottling plants across different countries. Then international franchising. I'm sure you're quite familiar with franchising models. Most of the food retailers that you see are franchising models, be it your favorite KFC or Burger King pizza or Chicken King or whatever it is. They're all franchisee models that's being run, okay? Then we also have the international management contract. Contracts can involve maybe turnkey projects or maybe, you know, consulting projects and so on and on. Okay, guys, any questions? Am I too fast? Are you okay?
Yes, we're okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is it time for a break, or we take break after some time, after 20 minutes? Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. I
Sorry,
remind
sir.
you, yeah.
May I know what time we'll end for this class? Because we have another class at 4:30.
Pardon?
Now it's already 3:30.
Ah.
Yeah, I just want to know what time roughly that we will be able to end this class, because around 4:30 we have another class.
Yours, okay, you're referring to the ODL class, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because you say break for 20 minutes, that means it's close to 4 o'clock.
Our class runs for 3 hours, whereas ODL class runs for 2 hours. I think there is some kind of confusion here, but give me a day's time to sort it out, okay? To check whether you are in the right class, first of all.
Oh, okay. Because we were told to join your class today. That's why I ended up here.
But it's okay. I will check it out by tomorrow and see, especially the ODL students, whether you're in the right class.
Okay, thank you.
Regular students, you're in the right class, but only the ODL, because the ODL students, normally you have, you know, just 2 hours of class. And that also every once in 2 weeks, you know, not every week. So basically you are having 16 hours of class for ODL.
Yeah, actually quite confusing for us for the
No
first
worry,
time.
I'll sort it out for you by tomorrow. Okay, give me a
Okay,
day's
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So what you do, what I suggest is 4:30 you move on to the next class.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because you won't be missing much after 4:30 with me. So if you look at what are the factors in international business operations, few factors like institutional and physical factors, especially, you know, look at the geographic influence. You know, geographic influence, I'm sure all of you are part of that. You have experienced it. the food that you eat. Those of you who are in Malaysia, have you tried nasi lemak or not? Non-Malaysians in Malaysia, have you tried nasi lemak?
Of course,
You have. So you are a Malaysian by right already.
I am.
Yeah.
3 days ago, I had my
Oh,
breakfast.
2 days ago. So you should try more often. That will make you a more Malaysian. Okay.
I do actually eat nasi lemak every week,
Oh,
twice.
good, good. Okay. So those of you are not in Malaysia, you miss half of your life because you miss nasi lemak. Okay. So when you come to Malaysia, first thing you should do, after getting out of your flight and airport, is to try nasi lemak. Okay. And you should also try durian. Durian is our favorite fruit. I'm sure Chinese are quite familiar with and crazy about durian. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, you like, so
Yes,
you come to Malaysia.
I like it.
Yeah, you come to Malaysia, I'll take you to some durian farms where you can have some durian. Yeah? Yeah, I know you like it.
Yeah.
Yes. How about others, people from other countries? Have you ever tried durian? No. Yeah, you should try it. It's a stinky fruit, but once you like it, you will get used to it. It's something nice.
I think in China is one of the most country that import durian from Malaysia.
Yes, yes, absolutely right. People look forward to it. We used to have durian festivals earlier, but now because of COVID-19, we don't have durian festival anymore.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, once things become normal, then we will start our durian festival in our campus. Then you can eat as much durian as you want by paying a fixed amount, something nice, right?
Of course.
Okay, good. So geographic influence comes especially in food. You go to Indonesia, you get more hot, pungent food. You come to Malaysia, you'll get more sweet food, right? So different geographies have different influences. Dress habits are different. Everything is different, Again, culture is a predominant factor when it comes to business. You look at Malaysia, anything halal sells like a hotcake. Anything non-halal, it's a big problem. So if you don't understand this cultural factor, you are going to be in big trouble, doing business in any country. Like, for example, if you go to India, probably beef is something that many people don't take, especially Hindus consider, cow as something holy and divine. So they wouldn't eat cow meat. This is exactly what happened to, MacD. MacD went to India. They believe that what is good for US is good for India. They practiced the ethnocentrism. What is good for US is good for India. But after they spent millions of dollars in product launch, advertising, campaigning, PR, but the product was not moving. They thought something wrong with the price, they reduced the price, still the product was not moving. And finally somebody told, hey, look here, man, this is, India, where 80% of the Indians are Hindus, and they revere cow as a holy animal. You can't eat a cow. So that's the time they came out with, vegetable burger or chicken burger. And then the rest is history. The sales picked up. Same way, you come to Malaysia and try to sell products with pork ingredient, definitely it's a strict no-no because it's a halal destination. You understand? So we need to understand, the geographic, cultural, political policies, legal practices, economic forces. I'll be looking at all these later in second, maybe next week, you know. Then we'll look at it in close, okay? Don't worry. So all these kind of operational issues, strategic issues, competitive forces, you know, what are the level of competition? Is the competition very high? Is there a kind of product discounting taking place everywhere? Is it a fierce competition? Like smartphone market, you see fierce competition. Whereas if you look at in Malaysia, if you look at, you know, the automobile market, the competition is not that fierce. I'm sure in your own country, the competition is very tough, especially when it comes to most of these electronic gadgets. Am I right? So all these factors do affect international business, okay? You're quite familiar with exporting and importing, so I won't be looking at that. These are some of the data that you can look at, okay? How exports of goods and services in terms of percentage of GDP, like countries like, you know, Thailand, Germany, Mexico, Canada, France. What is the percentage GDP for importing and exporting activities? Then you can look at which countries are net exporters and importers. So countries like Germany, Japan, China, Russia, South Korea, Spain, they export more than import. Whereas who are the more major importers like United States, UK, Brazil, Canada, India, France, they import more than export. So there is always a deficit that takes place between export and import. Okay, some interesting figures. We already have just explained about FDI and FII or FPIs. Okay, I was talking about, you know, resources. So that time we really looked at this. And we can also look at the FDI inflow. Which are the FDI inflow top destinations, if you see, like UK, Brazil, Singapore, China, US. Now, some interesting factor, you know, a few years before, Hong Kong used to overtake Singapore when it comes to FDI inflows. That means Hong Kong used to attract more FDI, foreign direct investment, than Singapore. But since last 2 years, because of the political unrest that's happening in Hong Kong, you find more and more businesses are moving out of Hong Kong and they are investing in Singapore because Singapore is politically and economically very stable country and it's always investor friendly. So as a result, if you look at, you know, the 2020 data, you will find Singapore's FDI inflow is much, much higher when compared to Hong Kong. Obvious reason is there. Okay, obviously United States still have a lot of FDI inflows, a lot of companies going there. Other key points that you need to remember when we talk about international business is licensing and franchising. We are going to study these terms again and again later on. We will study, when we look at entry methods, we are going to study licensing and franchising and management contract. So I wouldn't be looking at it now. Okay, MNCs and MNEs and MNOs interchangeably used, and we'll be using these terms quite frequently. Globalization and internationalization, please remember there's a slight difference. When you talk about internationalization, what happens is trade between two countries. But when you're talking about globalization, we are looking at a very generic trend happening in economics, culture, politics, you know, globally, not just limiting to one or two countries. So this is a difference between, globalization and internationalization. So most of the markets today are globalized market. You can get anything from anywhere today, right? I buy a lot of my stuff from China. For example, the mask that I'm wearing today, it has come from China for me. I didn't buy it from Malaysia, probably the cost advantage or the price advantage, or I like the design and so on. So we are all byproducts of globalization today. Nobody can say, I'm not part of globalization. I've never experienced globalization in any way. So what are the forces driving international business and globalization? Obviously, the first factor is globalization is in itself, because you find the all-pervasive nature of business that is moving from one country to another. Nobody can escape today. Okay, people in US, they wear shirts and pants manufactured in which country do you know? Bangladesh. Okay, or from China for that matter. It's quite interesting to see, and the components, if you look at the material that has come to Indonesia, to Bangladesh to produce the shirt, maybe the material has come from maybe another country. Maybe the cotton has come from some other country. So it's an interconnectivity is too much, and we cannot just run away from all these, factors around us. Technology is a major factor. We did discuss about that. Technology has reduced time and space today. You don't need to be anywhere today to do business. You can be virtual and do business. And most of the big businesses today are virtual businesses. They are not physical businesses. Earlier, maybe 10, 15 years before, when we talk about business, we always talked about a physical place. Something physical. But today, it's no more there. Business can be virtual or physical. Okay, then the cross-border trade is liberalized. The customs duties have gone down. Different types of taxes have been rationalized. Licensing requirements are less. So you find, like for example, you look at Europe. They have the Schengen visa. Okay, the whole of European Union, there is a free movement of goods and services anywhere within European Union. They don't need to have separate licenses. They need, someone from Europe, let's say someone from France can go to Germany and do work. Someone from Germany can do shopping in Switzerland, in maybe Italy and so on. So you find, and they have a common currency. So these kind of things have definitely increased globalization to a large extent. Okay. And then development of services. When we say services, I'm referring to all kinds of, third-party services offered in today's context. We are looking at the concept of business process outsourcing, BPOs. Most of the call centers of US products are located maybe in India, or let's say in Brazil or in Philippines, some other English-speaking countries. You won't find those kind of services in US. So you find business processes are outsourced to third parties, third countries, because of the cost advantage and the time advantage that has got. Okay, and obviously consumer pressure has grown up. Consumer is demanding better products, less prices, more quality. That has also led to globalization, and then competition from competitors. Now anybody can sell anywhere, so there is no more monopoly. Right? There is no more monopoly. The recent crackdown, in China on tuition institutions, if you see, I mean, that is, you can have a different view. From my reading, what I understand is that the China government has cracked down on most of the tuition centers. Interesting factors. Now, if you go down, you can see the reason. Number one, tuition business is growing exponentially. Even if a student is sent to school, evening he has to go back to tuition center. And they are becoming a parallel economy in China. And remember, most of the parents are complaining that the educational cost in China is very high because of the tuition centers. So the government says you can have more than 2 children, you can have 3 kids also now, but parents say, sorry, I cannot afford more than 1 kid because of 3 reasons. 1, education is very expensive. Number 2, health services are very expensive. Number 3, real estate is very expensive. So if you look at Xi Jinping's strategy on these 3 areas, healthcare, real estate, and education, there's a big crackdown going on to reduce, the prices and to eliminate monopoly in these areas. It's something very interesting to look at. So consumer pressure will ultimately make governments to work in certain ways. And global competition definitely will be another added factor. Then political situations and government policies. Look at Malaysia for that matter. Recently, we had a political government change, leadership change. So the moment there is political instability, many businesses will run away. They don't like political instability or frequent government change. Every time there's a government change, you have to start from zero. Government change means policy change. Policy change means you are going to lose money. So if there is, look at Singapore, the policies, governments are very stable. Even if the government changes in Singapore, the policies won't change based on political parties. It's quite steady. It is investor friendly. And again, cross-national cooperation is becoming very, very common nowadays. A lot of countries are coming together. They're forming trade treaties. Like ASEAN, as I gave you an example, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Or you have, other, like you have European Union, another classical example. Then we have African Union. That's another example. Okay, then BRICS, another example. SARC, another example. We have, hundreds of such kind of, we'll be studying those later as we go ahead, okay? Okay, I think it's time to take a quick break. Maybe we break for up to 4 o'clock. Is that okay? 10 minutes. We come back by 4 p.m.
Okay.
All right, great. Hello, are you all there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we are here.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Hello.
back.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. You had your tea? All right, can we proceed?
Yes, please.
Yeah, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we were looking at, in the last slide, we are looking at factors that increased globalization. So we looked at many factors like technology, cross-border trade, business process outsourcing or outsourcing of services, consumer pressure, global competition, then political stability or instability, either way. Then cross-national cooperation in the form of, different trade blocks. All those things we have discussed. What are the different operating modes? The most common are import and export. Most common, if you see, okay? It could be product, merchandise, or service, or either it could be in investments also. So these are some of the common methods of international business. There are some factors that can affect the ability to operate abroad. It could be physical, institutional, or competitive factors. Most of these factors we have already seen, and we will see in detail also in the coming classes. Like geographic, demographic factors, we'll see in the next class. Culture, politics, etc., we'll see in the another class, and so on. Okay, so I wouldn't be touching upon them in detail. We also have barriers to trade. Okay, different barriers to trade and investment. Like we have the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. We are going to study that in detail later. What is GATT? Then WTO, World Trade Organization, what is its role? Then we also have other international institutions like World Bank, IMF, International Monetary Fund. Then we have regional trade agreements, and also we have national issues and so on. So we are going to study each and every one of them as we go ahead. So I wouldn't be spending a lot of time here discussing with you today. Technology is a major factor when it comes to globalization. Like e-commerce has changed the way we do things, right? Earlier, it was all about brick and mortar business. Brick and mortar means physical structure business. Then it was brick and click. Brick and click, that means you have a physical structure plus you have an online facility. So that's called, it's a brick and click structure. Now the third model that we're talking about is a pure click model. That means pure online businesses like Amazon. It's a pure online business. Okay, so we have these businesses that has changed the landscape of international business. Again, video conferencing, as we said, it has changed. You don't need to travel around anymore. You can save time and money. There's a lot of money involved in traveling, accommodation, etc., etc. Those money can be saved, time can be saved with the help of video conferencing. So you are able to meet people from different time zones at the same time. That's how today business is. Then transportation technologies have evolved. Like for example, if you look at companies like Blue Dart, FedEx, they own their own aeroplanes, they carry their own cargo, they don't depend on third parties most of the time. So even the invention of email, fax, things have changed the need for you to courier a lot of things. You don't need to write letters and courier them, because you have email, you have whatnot, so many other mechanisms. Even you can use your WhatsApp nowadays to transfer files. So technology has played a vital role when it comes to all these factors. You can look at the globalization's ranking wise, top 10. Now, if you look at this, most of the Scandinavian countries, excluding if you say, Singapore, you find them all in the big top 10 list. In terms of economic, in terms of social, in terms of politics, you find they're all on top. Except Singapore. Singapore economy and social wise, they're number 1. But politically, they're 79, not that stable when compared to all those smaller countries. And look at, they're all, geographically very small countries, not very big countries either. This is the arguments. There are some arguments against globalization. Some arguments, those who argue say that, globalization takes away jobs. But it has happened other way around, if you see, It has taken away jobs from the developed countries, and it has given more jobs to developing countries like China, you have Thailand, India, Indonesia, Philippines, then you move to African countries like, South Africa, Nigeria, all these countries. Now, if you look at the net income, this is a kind of comparison. Net income of United States or technology worker is much higher when compared to any other country. So they get the highest pay, especially a software developer or IT specialist. They get much paid. Because why a lot of jobs moved from United States to China or India or Asian countries? The main reason is the cost benefit, because the labor is cheap here. That's the only reason. Now, why so many companies are moving out of China today? It's because Chinese labor is becoming more expensive over the last 5 years. So there is no more cost benefit if you're operating in China. So you find a lot of companies like Samsung, etc. They're moving to countries probably like India or Philippines or Thailand and so on. The main reason is the cost benefit. Obviously, globalization has increased wealth for many countries, but at the same time, it has also taken away wealth from other countries. I wouldn't say globalization is all good. It has had its own negatives and positives, also both the sides of the story. But inequality has increased over a period of time. It's the income inequality, the rich versus poor, the white collar versus blue collar. This has increased. If you look at the GDP growth rate, you find the GDP of the wealthy nations are much higher when compared to the developing countries or poorer nations. And the divide, the gap is increasing, the inequality is increasing. But obviously, if you have ever read the Pareto's principle, you know, he was an economist. He said, you amass the wealth of all the countries, let's say somewhere in Malaysia, and give everyone $1 each. At the end of the day, let's say there's 7 billion or 7.5 billion people having $1. Maybe after 1 month or 2 months or 6 months, still you will find, you know, income inequality. So inequality is going to be there. It's not going, you know, whatever may be the philosophy, be it communism or socialism, whatever may be your political philosophy, but still inequality is bound to be there. That's what, you know, the Pareto's principle basically talk about. Something interesting which you can read about. Okay. Now, globalization has also brought in, you know, cultural proximity. You know, when we say cultural proximity, it says, you know, you can move from one culture to another very quickly. You can adapt to new cultures. You understand new cultures. You know, this was not there before because it is very difficult to understand another culture because language was a barrier in understanding culture. But today language is no more a barrier because you have so many tools and techniques to overcome the linguistic barriers, right? Like for example, I'm sure in China you use a lot of translation softwares that's being used. I'm sure many of my students also use translation softwares to listen to my lectures sometimes if they don't understand. So those kind of, you know, linguistic barriers are no more, I would say, a barrier. It's no more, right? So globalization has also led to few questions regarding, you know, nationalism, sovereignty, you know, like are, you know, some of the big companies like, you know, Amazon or Walmart. Walmart's annual sales is around, you know, you won't believe, it's about 450 billion USD. A company with 450 billion USD, which is much, much more than some of the other countries' GDPs. You understand, they're very powerful. So the question is, can these countries interfere in the politics of other countries, you know? Yes, it could be a possibility. Because they are so powerful, these global companies are so powerful, they can, you know, control the political situation of a country. That's what many governments are trying to avoid. They want to avoid this situation. When we look at the advantages, yes, advantages because customers get goods at a very competitive price. They get quality products from everywhere, okay? And definitely the competition comes into the picture. So all these are some of the advantages we can say. The global business environment, this is going to be actually the study for our next week's session. If you look at, you find there's a firm's environment which is internal to the firm, like hiring, internationalization strategy, analyzing opportunities, selecting entry modes, developing marketing products, managing international operation. They're all, you know, basically internal to a firm. Then we have the national environment, which will cover the cross-cultural environment, political and economic and ethical environment, and economic development. All these are within the boundaries of a nation. And then you have the international environment, which will cover international trade, international politics, foreign direct investments, regional integrations, international financial market, international monetary systems. They are all, you know, beyond the control of a country or a company. So when you move to international business, you need to understand and align your business to all these variables. That's very, very important. which in detail definitely will be studying in the next class. Then I'm sure you will be able to understand this much better. Another interesting concept that we need to understand is called SRC, self-reference criterion. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's understand. Self-reference criterion is an unconscious bias. It's an unconscious bias or unconscious reference to one's own cultural values, experiences, while making a decision. For example, you are from China and you are appointed as the marketing manager, let's say, in Kenya. So you go there and whatever decisions you're making is based on your cultural experiences that you had in China. If you do so, we say that you are influenced by SRC. Now, SRC is not a good thing. It is something negative. The ideal rule is when you are in Rome, be a Roman. That means when you are in Rome, you think like a Roman, act like a Roman, eat like a Roman, dress like a Roman. That's how it should be. That means you're not influenced by SRC. That means you leave home your value systems, your cultural heritage, and those does not in any way influence your decision making as an international marketer in another country. So think about this, when you meet another country's person, when you talk to people from other countries, do you make your own judgments about those people without you knowing about it? Then we say you are biased, you are influenced by SRC. Now, what is the risk factor? Yeah, you can't find out the cultural difference because you're always going back and referring to your own culture. For example, every decision I need to make in China, I refer back to Malaysian culture. I say in Malaysia, everything is halal. So in China, everything must be halal. Will it work? It will definitely not work because I'm already blinded by my SRC. You understand? So as an international marketer, we need to keep aside our self-reference criterion. This is very, very important. It's a negative trait. It's a negative quality. Let's read this small case that we have here. This is the case study of a British manufacturer of chocolate biscuit. In America, they call it as cookies, right? Ignoring its SRC, knew that it must package its biscuits differently to accommodate the Japanese market. So the British manufacturer kept aside the SRC because he was selling the cookies in Japan. So in Japan, McVitie's chocolate biscuits are wrapped individually, packed in presentation cardboard boxes, priced about 3 times higher than the UK. Why? Because in Japan, cookies are used as gift and it must look and perceived as special and expensive. You see, very interesting logic. Very simple way of keeping aside SRC. If let's say the British manufacturer is blinded by SRC, he would say, I will sell the product as I sell it in Britain. That means he's having that ethnocentric approach, which is not good. Then the price of the chocolate will be less. He will pack them in groups, not individually. It won't be wrapped with gift wrappers. It won't happen. Another example, let's say Unilever, appreciating the uniqueness of its market, repackaged and reformulated its detergent for Brazil. Number one, many reasons. The first reason, not many households have, washing machines in Brazil because they are quite simple family, poor people. So they need to wash with hands. So they need washing powder, which can wash with hands. Also because many people wash their clothes in rivers. I've seen it even, in many countries, even today, It's very common for people to go to river to take bath, to wash clothes, and then they dry the clothes near the riverbed and come back. And you know, the Brazilians, you know, if obviously they need to, you know, package these powder in plastic so that, you know, it won't get wet and soggy when they go to the river. And Brazilians are also price conscious, you know. So they cannot afford to buy 1 kg soap powder. They can buy maybe 100 grams or 50 grams, not more than that. We'll be studying about this later when we study something called, you know, bottom of the pyramid market strategy, something very interesting. I'll share with you how, you know, poorer countries strategize, especially multinational companies. How do they strategize in, you know, this kind of poorer countries? Same way, even McDonald's modified its traditional Big Mac in India. So where it is known as the Maharaja Mac, because it's a vegetarian one, not, you know, not the non-vegetarian one. Okay, so you see, this is all about, you know, keeping aside your SRC. If your SRC is strong, you will not customize your product for different foreign markets. I hope you understand the concept of self-reference criterion. Are you with me, guys?
Yes.
So these two terms you must remember, okay? Ethnocentrism and SRC. So ethnocentrism, as we discussed earlier, it's a notion that my own culture is the best culture. I know what to do, okay? Don't teach me about your culture. Your culture is bad, mine is better. No, that is ethnocentrism. Whereas SRC means every decision you make is influenced by your cultural values, your beliefs, your religion, your social values, and so on, which again is not the right thing. So if you want to be an international marketer, keep aside your ethnocentrism and SRC. That's very, very important. Let's look at some of the examples, very interesting examples. I'm sure all of us use Wix, right? So in Germany, you know, Wix wanted to move to Germany. So what did they do? In VICKS, it sounds something like something sexy in nature, okay, in German. So they changed to WICKS, Wix, which was acceptable in Germany, and it became a successful. So they kept aside their SRC, you know. Otherwise they would say, okay, what is good in US should be good in Germany. So I won't change the spelling. They didn't say that. They were willing to change. Then contracts are a common accepted doing business in US. But in Egypt, however, agreements are verbal. Anyone from Egypt here? Anybody? Anyone has done business in Egypt? So you won't have, you know, terms and conditions. You won't have a paper signing agreement. It's verbal, you know. Once I say yes, it is an yes. You know, otherwise, if you insist on signing the contract, it might offend the, you know, Egyptian Muslim businessmen. That means you don't trust them. That means you don't trust their intentions. So for them, an yes is equivalent to signing an agreement. So if you're planning to go to Egypt, probably you should remember this, okay? In 2010, Forbes magazine listed Cleveland as the most miserable city in which to live, especially in winter. Now this is an example of SRC. Why? Because just one instance, just by one instance, you cannot make a sweeping statement to say that Cleveland is a miserable city. This is called, you know, generalization, which is wrong. Normally, by one experience, if you make a sweeping statement, you know, for example, I had one experience of somebody, let's say from India, stealing something from my shop. So can I say all Indians are thieves? Absolutely not. That will be a very wrong statement. You understand? So this kind of generalizations should not be there. Again, if you are having this kind of myopic vision or SRC, you might say so. You might say, you might say, oh, all Malaysians are lazy. That's a very, very, generalizing statement, which is not correct. Yeah, United States, they always thought that they're very powerful, they're economically better. They acted like they are the police, global police, if you remember. That's why everywhere there's a problem, they would go and interfere. And if you see in the last two cases, like be it, the Middle East or Afghanistan, they had to walk out in shame. 20 years they were there in Afghanistan, they couldn't solve the basic problem. They claim they are much, much powerful, better than any other country, but they were there for 20 years. Obviously, they were not there to solve a problem actually. They were there to sell their equipments, their war machines. You won't believe the amount of money that they spent 3 trillion USD in Afghanistan. That's what they claim. But where did this money go to? This money went to American defense manufacturers for buying equipments. So they were not interested in solving Afghanistan's problem. Basically, if they wanted, they could have solved it in 1 or 2 years. But they were there 20 years buying equipments from their own companies, making money in the process. So this is nothing but, ethnocentrism. The belief they know better than everybody else. Yeah. Then other examples would be, very interesting things like, the United States were one of the regions that the Europeans tried to control from overseas. They overtook lands in Africa. They believed both Africa and Americas to be primitive societies based on hunting and farming. Even today, I would say Americans are primitive. You look at the spoons and fork. The spoons and forks are the miniature versions of their, gardening fork and the spade, right? So and they look upon in the Asians as primitive, saying, you're using with your hands. Very interesting to look at, right? Maybe you never thought about this. It's something that you need to think about, The China, the ethnocentrism, let's look at the Chinese example. So the Sinocentric system under the philosopher Confucius, if you see, they said every emperor in China has a mandate from heaven. That means the divine power, whatever the emperor says is correct and true, you shouldn't disobey the emperor. So they had that status of son of heaven. That means whatever emperor does and says is correct, nobody should question. So this, to some extent, if you see, is passed on through the communist government even today. Look at the Nazi government. Why did they hate the Jews? Why they kill more than 6 million Jewish people, innocents? Just because they felt that the Aryan race was much, much superior to the Jewish race. And they felt, the Jewish must be eliminated. Otherwise, it will pollute and dilute the pure Aryan race. The whole idea was that. And they killed how many millions of Jewish people just because of this belief. So you see, you've got tons of examples of how countries behave differently using this SRC. Obviously, SRC has got its own dangers. Number one, you have a myopic vision. You are like a horse which has got a covering on both the sides of the eyes, so it cannot see left and right, it can only look straight. So, but as an international marketer, you should have a 360-degree view, a bird's eye view, not a horse's eye view. You understand the difference, I believe. Okay? And how do we react to situations? How do we react to cultures, politics of different countries? So if your ethnocentrism or SRC is very strong in you, then it will be very difficult to think out of the box when it comes to products, price, or any of the 4 Ps. So that's why we strongly recommend that international marketers must grow out of SRC and ethnocentrism. Very good example. We have an American sales manager. He was posted in Japan. Americans are quite individualistic in nature. They believe that, their subordinates must do the work on their own. No need to direct them, closely supervise or monitor them on a day-to-day basis. So this guy was quite happy. He never bothered to call for any meeting. He left everything to his subordinates to manage on his own. Whereas the Japanese counterparts under him, they were feeling very, very, very embarrassed. You say, the boss is not good. The boss is not holding meeting. The boss is not giving us directions. The boss is not good. We don't want this boss. What was the problem? It was all about SRC and ethnocentrism. Because the American boss did not understand the Japanese psychology. In Japan, the workers like to be closely monitored and directed and told what to do on a day-to-day basis. So they like to have an early morning meeting. A briefing must be done. Everyone should be told what to be done and what is the target for the day. If that is not happening, then the Japanese or even I would say Chinese are clueless. They don't know what to do. But this guy later on understood his problem. Then he started taking meetings. Then everything went well. Everything was okay. So, as an international marketer, you will be posted in different countries. You may not be staying in your own country all the time. So do you understand the philosophies, cultures, beliefs, value systems of that particular country? Or you still feel that you are in your own country? If you think so, remember you are inflicted by ethnocentrism or SRC, and you need to get rid of it ASAP. That's very, very important. Look at some of the largest companies in the world in 2020 in terms of market capitalization. So if you look at, the Americas, you find Amazon, right? Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, Walmart, quite a number of companies are there in terms of capitalization. Most of the billion or trillion-dollar companies are from the Americas. Then you look at Europe, you've got not too many, very few, like a few examples I would say would be Nestle or SAP or Shell or, Unilever for that matter. Then if you look at Asia, we have definitely Saudi Aramco, the biggest of all, 1.8, must be more than 2 trillion. Then Alibaba, Tencent, and then Toyota, Samsung, AIA, quite a number of companies are there from Asian region. Reliance, Tata, and so on. So you see how companies are centered, based on market capitalization. which companies come from which country, which region, and so on. It's an interesting insight to look at. So I think, yeah, the last two slides I have for you. This one we'll be looking at later. I'm going to share with you in detail all the Big Ten countries, the BRICS countries, you know, in terms of population. I'll be sharing with you how to find out the demographics of each country, what are the websites to look at, all these things I'll share with you. So I'll just quit this and move to the last slide, looking at China's regional challenges, you know, especially when it comes to international trade. China has got a lot of regional challenges. Like Beijing, if you see, China's economy has grown rapidly. The government is concerned about rising income inequality between cities and the countryside, and in between coastal China and the country interior. So most of the measures, if you see, taken by China's government, like, you know, banning private tuition, pulling down some of the tall buildings in China. Recently, they demolished many buildings. Then curtailing foreign direct investments, curtailing foreign educations, collaborations between foreign universities, real estate, health. All these are, you know, initiatives to reduce this income disparity between countryside and city, I believe. Then we have the Xinjiang province. Chinese government is particularly sensitive to any sign of political dissent in Xinjiang and Tibet. The cultural religious traditions of Xinjiang dominant ethnic group also have, you know, issues. So we do hear a lot of news. We don't know whether it is right or wrong, which I'm sure the Chinese students should be able to tell us. Then we also have, you know, the Chongqing and Chengdu province. The labor land costs are lower in the interior provinces, but it is becoming, computer production, centers of computer production, attracted new factories, manufacturing base from most of the global companies like Acer, Apple, Dell, HP, Lenovo, and so on. Very interesting. Then we have the coastal regions. Obviously, coastal regions are growing rapidly than the interior provinces, I would say. But the problem with these coastal regions are high labor cost. The labor cost is increasing rapidly. As a result, a lot of businesses are migrating back to either inland China, or they're moving to Vietnam, Bangladesh, etc., etc. So all these are happening, you know. So it's very interesting to see all these demographic or cultural shift or economic or political shift that is taking place for us to understand all about international business. So I think in today's session, you got a fair idea about what are the key aspects of our focus in the coming next 10 weeks. So we'll be looking at each of these aspects in detail as we go ahead, and then we try to see. And I hope that every week when I cover different topics, you can also finish your assignment topics of that particular, week. That should be the way, instead of waiting till week 9 to finish everything together, you should attack it week by week, try to finish it every week and get it done. That's very, very important. Okay, guys, I think that's the end of the story from my side for today. And if you have any questions, you're most welcome to show it up for me. I'll be more than happy to answer you. Any questions you have? All of you have taken the attendance in LMS?
Yes.
All done, I believe. Please, if you have forgotten, don't forget to take your attendance. Attendance is very important. and we need 80% attendance, okay?
Okay.
Any issues, any problems, any questions, anything you want to share? Okay, great. Somebody says no questions.
No problem.
Okay. All right, then, if you have no questions, thank you so much. See you all next week, same time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, handsome professor.
Thank you, sir. See you.
Bye, sir.